Hey guys, it's Stephanie. So this is going to be my second video in my wedding planning series. If you haven't seen my first video, I recently got engaged. I got engaged in the middle of August, and I have my ring. I didn't have it in the first video I made. It was getting resized at the store. So it's a 2-carat princess cut solitaire with white gold, and I absolutely love it. It's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. And also, my hair, let me show you this. This has nothing to do with weddings. It's just a beauty thing on the side. I saw some people on YouTube talking about these things, and I bought them and tried them, and they actually really work, and I love them. They're these twisty hair curler things that you wash your hair, and while it's still wet, you twist your hair up in them and roll it up, and you can sleep in them, and they're soft, and they don't hurt your head, and they make your hair curly. So look at this. And my hair doesn't hold curl well. It's really thin and really flat and fine, but it will hold curl for like 2 or 3 days when I do this. So these are pretty awesome. So that's a side note. Okay. So wedding stuff. I got engaged and we've been moving pretty fast. A lot of things have changed since what I was talking about in my last video, and I will explain why. So we got engaged, and I just went into like bride mode, like crazy, looking online at all kinds of wedding stuff. And so the first thing we did was we scheduled getting engagement pictures taken, and those are going to be taken by my friend Molly, who's a photographer, and I've known her for quite a while, and she's actually one of my best friend's sisters. So she's going to be doing our wedding and our engagement pictures. Our engagement pictures are going to be taken on November 2nd, and we set our wedding date, which is going to be April 12th, and because that's like 7 months away, we've decided to send out save the dates without our engagement pictures on them, just because by the time we get like pictures that we can use on the save the dates, we might not be able to send the save the dates out until December, and that's just too long. Like, people need to know before then. So we've set our date. Our original date was April 26th, which was the Saturday after Easter, and we had to change it because the venue that I liked, they didn't have any availability for the room that we wanted, and we didn't want to do the weekend before that because that was Easter weekend. So we are going to do the weekend before Easter. And they didn't have availability until, I think, Memorial Day weekend. So we couldn't do it in May. And Memorial Day is a bad weekend because a lot of people go out of town and stuff. And I just didn't want to do June because that's just too long. And I just want to plan this wedding and get married. And I don't want it to be, like, too long. So we changed our date to April 12th, which is okay because we hadn't set out save the dates yet or anything. So this was like our, I have like a list in front of me of like what we did to like get to where we are right now. So we got engaged, we scheduled our engagement photos, my mom, myself, and my fiance Mike made our guest list. So right now on our guest list there's like about 188 people on it. And that's a lot different than what I was originally planning. Like in the first video I made, I was saying I want our wedding to be around 100 people. And unfortunately, that's just not going to work because I have a huge family. I have lots of friends, and there's just people that I can't imagine like not inviting to this wedding. You know, like when I was writing my list, I was like, well, if I invite these cousins, I have to invite these other ones, otherwise they're going to be sad. And I can't not, like, invite my cousins, because I see them all the time. Like, it's not like people who live, like, far away and you never see them. These are, like, family members that I see a lot. And then, so my list, like, mine and my mom's list was around 100. And then Mike gave us his list, which was around 70 people, of people who might be coming from the Philippines and his family and friends who live here in the States. So I was just like, okay, we're going to have to make this bigger because I just don't. I've experienced being told you're not invited to a wedding, and it's really hurtful when it's someone that you've known a long time and that is important to you. And it really hurt my feelings, and it's happened to other people in my family, and it's ruined friendships, and I just don't want that to happen. So we're just making it bigger, and our budget's like, it's going to be okay because it still fits within our budget. So we made our guest list, and then we made our budget. So my parents and myself and Mike talked about how much money we're willing and able to put into this wedding. And so that's how we came up with our budget. And so I have a whole document on my computer where I'm listing each individual item, like the venue, the food, the open bar, the flowers, the dress, all that kind of stuff, and like how much it's going to cost and who's paying for it, so that I can make sure we're staying within our budget. The venue. So originally I wanted to have it in the city of Chicago, and I wanted to have it at a restaurant, and that wasn't going to work because in the city it's much more expensive just because it's the city, and having it at a restaurant to accommodate 100 to like 150 people, you have to buy out the restaurant for the night, and that's like $15,000-$20,000, and that's just not in our budget at all. So then I was looking at hotels in the city, and they were even really expensive, and so I was like, okay, we'll just have to go into the suburbs. So I started looking in the suburbs, and there were lots of places I liked, and there was one place that I was kind of hesitant to contact just because my sister had her wedding there and my best friend. But then I was thinking, what's going to make me, as the bride, feel most secure on my wedding day? And I know for me that's knowing that everything's going to be okay. I'm not going to have to worry about anything. And knowing that my sister's wedding was fabulous and she loved it. And knowing my best friend's wedding was beautiful and that she loved it and they weren't unhappy about anything. Everything was perfect the way they wanted. And that the venue that we chose has really good prices and all these different things, So I eventually decided to have it at the venue where my sister and my best friend had their weddings. So it's called the Garden Chalet. It's a family-owned banquet hall, and they have 2 rooms. And so we were originally thinking of having it in the garden room, which is can accommodate up to 120 people. But with our guest list being around like 180 right now, you don't know how many people are going to say no, and you can't like book a room and then there's too many people and they can't all fit. So then we chose the bigger room, and that room wasn't available on the day that we had tentatively set for our wedding. So then we decided, okay, we're going to have to change our date, which is okay because we haven't sent out save the dates yet or anything. So we chose a different weekend, and I think the thing that really made me want to have it at the Garden Chalet was they were willing to give us the Friday night price for a Saturday reception, which is about $10 less a person, which is a lot of money when you add it up. So this the Garden Chalet, they include the food, they include the open bar, they include your wedding cake, they include all the decorations and the tablecloths and the chair covers. So after we chose our venue, we were thinking like, okay, what kind of a ceremony are we going to have? And at first I was thinking like I just wanted to go to the courthouse and get married because I was trying to keep this small and as not big as possible. But my mom was like, other people are going to want to see you get married, and and I know that. So I was talking to the Garden Chalet, and the other smaller room is available the same day, and we could have our wedding ceremony in there, and it's $600 extra. And my parents were like, we'll probably be able to pay that, just so that we can see you get married, and all of your friends and other relatives who couldn't come to the courthouse would be able to see you. So I'm like, okay. So we decided that. So now our big thing with the ceremony is trying to decide who's going to actually marry us, because right now I'm going to be moving out of the city of Chicago in about a month, and I'm not going to be going to my church anymore, and I don't know if my old pastor at my church will be able to marry us because we can't go through premarital counseling with him because we won't be going to the church anymore. So I'm trying to decide if he can marry us, or if I need to find someone else, like a judge or somebody. So we're trying to figure that out for the ceremony. Like I said in my first video, I already have my dress. I'm wearing my grandmother's dress from 1950. It's being restored right now, and it's going to take about 2 months for it to be restored. So it'll be ready at the beginning of November. It should be ready. It should be done being restored. It takes about 2 months, and they use chemicals and UV lights and all this kind of stuff to restore it. And then they have to alter it because it's too small for me right now in the waist. So they're going to take it out, and they're also going to shorten it because I want it to be like a little bit below my knee. And right now it goes to like my ankles. So that's going to take about 4 months for that whole process to be done. We chose our wedding party. We're having a really small wedding party. I'm not changing that. I'm just having my sister as my matron of honor, and Mike's having his best friend Sagar. And that's all we're doing because I'm trying to keep it small. So like almost everything else is changing. I'm just keeping that small. I've already scheduled our hair being done. Our hairstylist, who's been doing our hair for years and years and years, is going to do our hair. I'm going to do my own makeup. So the next steps we have to do are I have to look at flowers, and I have to decide what kind of flowers I want and like order those. And I have to go and order a cake and decide what kind of cake I want. So that's like our biggest next steps right now. We're moving really fast. Like when I told some of my friends, I was like, we already set a date, April. They were like, what? April? That's like 6 months away. I'm like, yeah. Like I don't want to waste time. I don't want to be engaged for like a year and a half, 2 years. Like that's just, I think that's silly. I just want to get married. But I also want to respect my parents and make them happy because they're going to be helping to pay for some of this. And I want to make my family happy because I really believe a wedding is just a celebration of, like, you know, we're adults and we're choosing to get married and we've gotten to this place because of all of you. And I really want, like, all these important people to be at the wedding. What else was I going to say? I think that's pretty much it. Like, I'll be making more videos later on as like I get my wedding dress like altered and things like that, and as more things happen. But I would think like the most important things are, if you're planning your wedding, these are like my top things. Number one, make like a document on your computer, like on Google Docs or like Word or whatever, where you can just list every single individual item, list who's paying for it, and list how much it's going to cost. Because if you're just like buying all this stuff and you're not like keeping track of the prices, you're going to go way over your budget. So we're doing that right now so that we can stay within our budget. I would say number two, when you're like contacting venues and places to have your wedding, if you know people who have gotten married there, like say that. Because the reason the Garden Chalet told me we'll give you the Friday price was because I said, like, you know, I know 2 people who have been married here and it was wonderful, and they want like your business, so they want to give you a better deal to like keep you there, and they want to get good recommendations. So that, and I would say stay like true to what your vision of your wedding is, but also try to make your family happy at all possible. Like especially if your parents are paying for most of the wedding or some of the wedding, like, you know, you have to include their opinion because their money is going into it. So you can't just be like, no, this is how I want it. Because if they're helping to pay for it, then you have to like take into consideration some of what they're saying. If they're not helping to pay for anything, then yes, you can obviously do what you want and invite who you want. But otherwise, you have to kind of compromise. So yeah, that's where I am right now. I'm planning my wedding fast, and I'm busy, and it's all good. And if you guys have any specific questions about wedding planning or like what I'm doing to like plan this wedding quickly, let me know, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. Okay, have a good day. Bye.